And there has been mixed reaction to the 2016 budget. JTV News heard from some persons after the budget address on February 8th outside the House of Assembly.
The chairman of the Virgin Islands Party is Mr. Fraser, so he will speak for and on behalf of the party. But in terms of being a concerned citizen, I'm here. I'm here because the Virgin Islanders have been called on to invest in the BVI. They have done so, and it is important that we have a budget that reflects our ability to be successful with any venture that we have. We're also concerned of the many arenas or the many concerns that have been posed. And when you look at a budget that have on its surface announced a number of tax increases, then one has to be, look into them quite keenly to make sure that we do not seek to tax away out of the issues that we're in, or tax away to prosperity. So these are some of the concerns we'll have to look at, and I'm thinking that we'll be able to review them and to come with any suggestions that we have as concerned citizens and as business persons.
Well, it was good to hear the Premier address tourism in particular. Of course, that's one of our major financial pillars, and the fact that they're putting money behind tourism again this year is good. I mean, because us in the industry, we look forward to that every year, the marketing and making sure that people can actually get here, and investing in the airline to get people here. These are things that we look forward to. Being in the business, we welcome that.
Right. The Premier has good plans. They have solid plans. At the end of the day, all that will determine whether the plans are successful or not is the execution. And I do believe if executed properly, all the plans that he has for the government and along with his ministers, the future looks bright. 2016 seems to be a year where we can see some benefit, and some production and some growth in the economy and the financial services, basically in the entire territory.
As you know, we are living in some financial hard times, and I think that the government is doing their best to forge a way forward for us, the best that they can. They've embarked on a number of structural projects which is needed, and in order to, like the Premier said, in order to make money, sometimes you got to spend money. And like I said before, sometimes you got to borrow your way out of debt. So I think they're doing their best, and we all just need to do our part to ensure that we all make this country as good as it can be.
In his 2016 budget presentation, Premier Smith said after much contemplation and assessment, a decision was taken to augment some fees and taxes which are expected to bring in some $20.5 million in additional revenue. Speaking to JTV News just after his budget presentation, Premier Smith said there is no reason for alarm.
No, because these are things that we've been speaking about now for several years, and they've been discussed with various sectors of the community, particularly those who may be involved in them. So it's a discussion been ongoing, and I'm sure that everybody will appreciate the need for continued investment in infrastructure of the BVI. In order to be able for the BVI to be competitive and to continue to grow, we have to make these considerable investments. It's all been doing for the past few years. That's why we invested so much in the infrastructure. That's why we invested in the cruise ship dock. All these things cost money, and that's why we're going to be investing in the airport development. That's why we put $7 million towards getting the air flight from Miami to BVI. If we don't do these things, we'll never be able to put us on a path to growth. And I think this is the important message I want everybody to understand.
So residents of the Virgin Islands can be rest assured that all is well, no need for panicking. There aren't any reasons for being alarmed, especially with respect to the new revenue measures and so forth.
Not at all. And the point I also had to make up there was that people may have gotten the impression from the question that the government was broke. But as I pointed out, the government has over $70 million
That's some 71 million.
Yeah, over $71 million in money. available. And interestingly, despite all that we have done in the past several years, with all the improvements, all the expenditure we had to get us where we are with the roads, the hospitals, etc., the money that government has in access right now, the money is available, is not any less than it was in 2011 when he took over, right?
And this 71 or more in financial assets is separate from the reserves?
No, that is part of the reserves. You see, many years ago, before we had committed to building the reserves, we were also building reserves, but in a different way. We were saving the money in the consolidated fund. Now the money that we're saving is going into the reserves and not into and that's why the consolidated fund looks lower than it would have looked 10 years ago.
The expected addition of $15 million to the reserve fund will bring the total to over $64 million in 2016, allowing the BVI to meet its requirements to increase the reserve fund under the Protocols for Effective Financial Management by 2017. Premier Smith also used his 2016 budget address to implore both sides of the aisle in the House of Assembly to instill confidence in the people of this territory. He said legislators must act with kindness, transparency, and commitment to their advancement and that of the BVI when conducting the people's business.